racing, sports cars, racetrack. Those words will evoke definite and sometimes strong emotional responses from most people. Depending on our preferences, we quickly label the elements of motorsports as good or bad, pleasant or irritating, familiar or alien.
So I'm going to stay 10.
The open exhaust of a racing engine can be heard as loud noise. Or it can be heard as a powerful music. Right turn, left turn, right, left. The sight of a car sliding sideways in a fast corner can be seen as a dangerous maneuver or as a dance of pure grace. And people can participate in this sport singly or in groups. Make any statement about automobile racing and you will quickly find an opposite point of view. And often, both statements will be true. They are both sides of the same coin. This program is about club-level endurance racing, a special kind of event which brings together people having both special interests and shared goals. Again, opposites. Yet both are easily contained in the sport as both sides of the same coin. We are in the Pacific Northwest, an area rich in natural beauty and history. This is not an area of the country usually associated with motorsports. Yet, here in Portland, Oregon, there is a group of people who bring the unique flavor of it. We are in the Pacific Northwest, an area rich in natural beauty and history. This is not an area of the country usually associated with motorsports. Yet, here in Portland, Oregon, there is a group of people who bring the unique flavor of the Northwest to this activity. The Cascade Sports Car Club was formed in 1953 and now has 240 members of all ages and from all walks of life. The club sponsors a wide variety of functions: international conference sprint races, rallies, and autocrosses. Drivers' training programs and race course operations schools are also offered, which are ranked among the very best. And of course, there are the various social and family functions, including potluck dinners, camping trips, and annual banquets. These are all activities which encourage participation on many levels, both competitive and cooperative. Today, the club is holding its 7th annual 6-hour endurance race, which traditionally has been sparsely attended by spectators, but which the participants say is the best event of its kind anywhere. Endurance racing is cooperative racing. Yes, there are winners and losers, as in any competitive event. But what really counts here is the blending of efforts over the long haul. the synchronization, the harmonizing, which gives greatest pleasure to all participants. Before the race, engines and gearboxes have been carefully rebuilt and inspected, spare parts inventoried, toolboxes laid out in readiness. Fuel for 6 long hours of racing is placed in individually assigned pits. Special tires, including those for Portland's notoriously changeable weather, are stacked ready for quick use. And today's forecast calls for rain showers. Practice and some track familiarization laps for those new to Portland International Raceway continues through the morning as teams try to fine-tune their cars' motors and handling abilities.
Infractions, which I hope there are not, you will be notified by Rich Huff. And Rich Huff will be the only one that has the authority to do that.
About an hour before the start, race chairman Bobby Plotz tells the assembled drivers what behavior he expects of them today.
Wearing the orange. They'll be wearing the orange bands, right. And the crew captain, make sure your crew captain wears the white band.
How often do you post?
And pit marshals are given their assignments.
28, Dent, Erickson, and Nash. 29, Hermanson and Lim. 29, Hermanson and Lim. Cells. You will be allowed to have the capacity of your car in the racing pits. Now, we don't want to see a rabbit out there with 45 gallons sitting around. But to make it easier for the drivers, and I think safer, so we don't have to have rushing gas being splashed around, you will be allowed to have it in the pits. Also, please keep your gas in there as short a time as possible for obvious reasons. The next thing I want to talk about is we did raise the speed limit this year to 30 miles an hour. Now, this will be enforced. When you're back here in the pits, we don't want you, getting on it right here at the pre-grid and, hitting turn 10 at about 100 miles an hour. After you clear the last pit down here, then that's your acceleration lane. Not anywhere before the last pit, or the first pit, however you want to say it. Towing to a pit. If you're out there, you run into a problem where you have to be towed, it would be towed to the closest safe distance, and your car can be repaired there. If you have to come back to if your car's towed back to the paddock, you're out. You can't be towed back to the paddock. Only the driver may repair the car outside the pit area. Other drivers and crew members, or three other crew members, will carry parts out and give advice. However, under no circumstances must they leave the spectator areas of the track. If they do it, could lead to disqualification. We've got, pointing by, we've got lots of cars with obviously very high, great varying speeds. Watch your mirrors. Point by. Tell, or at least tell the driver where you're going to be. Let him point him by. So, Gordon?
Yeah, well, sometimes if you're traveling pretty fast, you're already committed, and somebody's pointing you, maybe that's not the best place to go.
Okay.
Maybe where he's headed.
Okay.
That's a touchy area.
It is a very touchy area, because a lot of times, you know, as Gordon says, a guy is really holding on, and you as the drivers of the slower cars are going to have to really be sure that you know, you're aware of these cars back there. Yeah.
Stay in your line.
Yeah, the slower cars stay in your line, and the bigger cars can work their way around. These are the main things that I wanted to go over. The other things are in your regulations. Another thing that I would like, or a person I would like to thank, or two people, is Joe Maloney. Joe has been the driving force behind this event this year, and she really made this all possible. Another person that was her assistant was Tom Busey, and the same that I said for Joe. I mean, the two of them really did a fantastic job.
Professional racing driver Lauren St. Lawrence, working on the sidelines today, throws in a word for his sponsor.
There's two reasons for the earplugs. One, there's a couple Mazdas running. And the other thing is that Dane Pederisi and I will be doing the commentary, and so you can tune us out by using your earplugs. So if you want to stop by, pick them up. I have those here.
The cars are gridded for the start in order of their entry. Crews make final adjustments, looking for any possible problems that could hinder their driver. On the grid, Porsches, Camaros, Mazdas, Volkswagens, Ford Pintos, English Ford Cortinas, MGs, a Lotus, and a wide variety of sports racers, more than 30 cars in all.
I just hope that everybody has a good judgment of what you have over the years. You haven't had any problems here.
As the start approaches, drivers and crew chiefs check and recheck the cars, making sure gas tanks are topped off, ignition switches work, and all is in readiness. To go. In a Le Mans start, drivers stand opposite their cars, and at the gun, they'll run to their vehicles, strap in, and hit the starters.
Get in there!
officials ensure that no driver leaves before his or her full safety harness is locked in place and the cars are secure. Being the first car away in an endurance race is really more symbolic than vital. After all, there are 6 long hours ahead, almost 250 laps, the better part of 500 miles, and to win, drivers must pace themselves to finish. This is not a 100-yard dash, but rather a marathon. Because of the great difference in top speeds between the smaller production cars and fully prepared racing cars, overtaking drivers use their headlights to signal that they're going to pass. All these cars do not compete against each other, but rather in separate classes. Today, it's not who's the fastest, but who can survive the test that's most important. In spite of all the preparation and long hours, things can go wrong, and do.
And I've been racing for 4 years. The reason I started racing was to race in this race. I got the absolute best co-driver there is in Neil Shelton, and we did everything humanly possible to the car. And Murphy's Law, something had to go. We had a rocker arm that we got from Germany last month, brand new, $100 rocker arm, broke. First lap.
And you only did 1 lap?
We did 1 lap. We let it.
How long have you been preparing the car before this happened?
Ever since the IMSA race, August 1st.
So for about a month and a half, huh? And that knocks you out for a whole day now.
That's right.
What does it feel like to be knocked out after all of that time spent?
Really bad. All you can say is next year we'll be ready.
And Carl Durkheimer, a pre-race favorite in his Porsche, packs it up and goes home. Other cars also make early and unexpected pit stops. Club President Tom Busick asks longtime enthusiast Win Casey what keeps him attracted to this sport.
20 years.
You started racing when you were how old?
19.
19. I didn't mean to date you like that. But
Over 40.
You've been associated with it for a long, long time.
Started as a hobby in high school.
And you've been associated with Cascade for that long.
1956.
And what continues your association with Cascade year after year?
Strictly the fun. It's strictly a hobby of fun. That's why I enjoy it.
You've driven endurance races for quite a few times. This time you're driving your
Volkswagen Rabbit.
Volkswagen Rabbit.
Not competitive, but it usually finishes. Last year we finished 10th overall.
And
it's an inexpensive way to go out there and have a good time.
How inexpensive? How expensive? How much money are you spending on this particular race, for instance, to get here?
This weekend I'll probably spend tires, gas, entry. Three of us running the car, we will probably spend no more than $400 maximum, including buying tires and gas.
That's a real buy.
It's fun. I've raced for over 20 years, and endurance racing is probably the most fun racing there is. Because it's low-keyed and it has as much fun for the driver as it does for the mechanic, which 30-minute races don't always have that. So it's really a lot of fun for everybody.
Good.
Dribbling, smoking.
Fun is a relative term. To a man who enjoys machinery, keeping a car running hard through this race is an enjoyable challenge.
Where was it leaking? Up here? No, it was just wet. Why'd you ever start it up and take one? No. Tom? Yeah? Ever start it up and just leave it here? We'll check it.
It was leaking just enough to keep the bottom of the oil filter slightly dripping, and it would have gotten worse, so we had to change the oil filter right in the middle of things.
Did you notice that from oil pressure droppage?
No, we just happened to notice it when we came into the pits. Oil pressure was beautiful.
So you're really fortunate that you were looking the whole car off.
Oh, you have to.
That's
you
good.
plan to run 6 hours, you better.
Okay. Bob is unique in the fact that he's got a real family situation with his driving, with his racing. You've been in Cascade for a long time.
Oh yeah, 6, 7 years.
And your family's been associated with it for
6, 7 years.
And today, tell me about where the rest of the family is today.
Well, my wife is upstairs, one of the announcers on the PA out to the pits, giving driver information. The son, his wife, and I, the three of us drive the car in the Enduro, take turns driving. So it's definitely a family affair.
That's neat.
A lot of fun.
Raced any differently than she has looked at the rest of them this year?
No, it's club racing. It's out for fun. She just took the driver training program last March, went through the novice program, got her intermediate license and her senior license, and we're just very happy to have her aboard.
Good.
Very pleased with the way she's been doing, too. She's been doing very well.
Mechanics preen the cars. Drivers take them through the corners. But many other roles are played here today. Course marshals, team managers, corner workers, all have their assigned tasks.
There.
Ready?
Up until we just had these pits, in the lead is Tom Henriksen and number 7.
Among the most visible are the corner crews, there to assist drivers should they run into mechanical difficulty or become involved in an accident.
Scott Taylor, the portion. The number 12 car.
Many corner workers would themselves like to race, but can't afford the expense.
And the number 20 car.
Others enjoy the group participation and fellowship that working corners brings. This is Jim Norris.
Oh, sure, there's a danger problem involved, but being out here this close and the fact that we are trained in what to do and trained in how to handle situations, we're on the alert. We're always alert. We know where the cars are. We know what they're doing. We work a buddy system out here so that if I'm looking up track, my buddy's looking down track, he can tell me what's coming. So we're on our toes and we're all in pretty good physical condition. So if a car starts to get squirrely and go off, we're like a runner taking the lead off the bag. We're already a couple of steps off. They realize, and a lot of them have come to find out the hard way, that we're out here to help them. All it takes is for you to go off course one time and need those turn workers to help you, and you find out real quick why turn workers are around. So yeah, there's the drivers, I think for the most part, really appreciate us out here, and they're we've got a good close camaraderie. Yes.
Good. I'm sure.
It's starting to rain now, and as the track surface becomes slippery, some drivers find their limits and spin off the course, bringing out the yellow caution flag. Others slow and receive signals that faster cars are still approaching.
You left at the wrong time.
Some of the nicest people I've ever met have been out on the turns, flaggers and whatnot.
Go ahead, Howard.
It's just neat to be a part of all the action.
At the end of
There's a definite.
Tom McCoy, a senior turn marshal with some race driving experience of his own, considers the worker-driver relationship.
Workers to drivers. Does everybody get along? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
We have our highs and lows. I think this year's been real fine for driver-worker interaction. There have been times where you know the drivers have their side of the fence and the workers have their side of the fence and the tech guys have their side of the fence and the pre-grade guys have their side of the fence. You know, it just keeps going on like that. But this year it seems to be everybody seems to be working more together.
How about the workers going for rides out here? I want to say something about that.
That was a big hit. That's a real big hit. I know everybody looks forward to that, and you know, a lot of the workers. Some of us are actually out there because we like to be out there. Some of them are out there because they can't afford to be race drivers, and some of them have been race drivers, and some of them will be, and those are just out for fun. Because they like to flag, it's always neat to get out there in a race car and see what it's really like. And those that want to do it someday, it just reinforces that. And so it's kind of neat. And I know that a lot of workers look forward to that, and a lot of them from other tracks and other clubs, you know, and that's one thing they remember Cascade is, oh yeah, you guys had worker rides, you got to race around the track. You know? So that always goes over big. They like that.
Tell me about your hat.
My hat.
Your hat.
What hat? Oh, well, I'll tell you. About 4 years ago or 5 years ago, somewhere along the line, a smart-ass Formula 4 driver told me. He says, you know, you turn workers. He says, you all look the same. He says, white suits, got patches on them. He says, can't tell one from the other. So, you know, this is my bit for individuality. Like nobody's ever been able to say they don't know me. They may not know my name or where I'm from or anything, but yeah, that guy with the hat, yeah, I remember him.
What do you do with the radio?
is how we keep in contact with everything that's happening out on the track, is they're all connected with FM radios, and since it's my problem out there, I've got to be on the radio, so when Karen screams, I got to go running if anything happens.
Go ahead, turn 4.
Radio communications are vital. Each corner can talk to others and receive instructions and information from the course marshal. Communications coordinator Karen Oakland knows that should the radio link fail, the race will be halted.
Go ahead, turn 3.
Too far around now, good course.
Stop at turn 3.
2610.
Much less visible, but equally important, is the scoring crew. High above the track, a club member enters data for an experimental computerized scoring program. At the next table, car positions are laboriously entered on traditional lap charts. That information comes from tapers, who record each car's passing.
22 pit. 2 pit.
You're losing 2 or 3 minutes.
At trackside, a crew member tells a driver that his previous lap took just 1 minute and 33 seconds,
Stay on the track.
over 74 miles an hour in average speed. This information will help the driver maintain a steady pace.
There is smoke coming out of the back. They have been up in the top 10. They are still there. They've been running very consistently, but all of a sudden, we got smoke. Smoke coming out of the back.
The responsibility for coordinating this race and ensuring everybody's safety falls on the shoulders of event chairman Bob Plotz. Cascade president Tom Busick gets a progress report.
It's going very well. We're keeping our eye on the clouds. Hope it doesn't rain, but other than that, the race is going very, very smooth.
No accidents, nothing severe at all.
No accidents, nothing severe. Drivers have been behaving themselves, and it's just everybody's having a good time.
How about the pits? Have you had any gas spillages or anything?
No, things are looking real good in the pits.
Good.
Things are looking, so far it's been just a perfect race.
Perfect for some, perhaps. For the Nichols-Usher Corvette team, it's a frustrating afternoon. And the car is back in the pits again for attention.
I'm Dave Nichols. I'm from Eugene, Oregon.
And you're the driver of?
Co-driver of the number 16 Corvette.
Okay. And you're having some trouble. What kind of trouble are you having?
Well, the other driver and builder of the car, Pat Usher from Beaverton, was out first and was working his way up through the pack. We were running in second position, and the rear tires blistered. And then one of the left rear tire blew on the back straight. It must have been pretty spectacular because he said he set a new record. He spun 4 complete 360s. Unfortunately, that flat spotted the other rear tire, and he came in with one tire going flat, and we didn't have 2 spares that were already mounted
always go on at the same time, so we've lost a lot of time getting another spare mounted and getting both rear tires back on the ground.
But so far you don't have mechanical trouble, it's just tire problem.
No, in fact, the car seems to be running well and handling well. In fact, he was gaining. He had moved up from 4th to 3rd in about the last 4 laps before he came in, and then he moved into 2nd just before the tire blew.
So except for the momentary delay, you have no reason to not finish the day then?
That's right. We're looking forward to it.
Good.
We're hoping this rain gets a little more too, because we've got a great set of rain tires.
Good. Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Soon it's time for another mandatory driver change. Crew members clean windshields and take the covers off halogen lights for the gathering darkness. Fatigue is beginning to show on everyone's face.
Up until we just had these pit stops, in the lead is Tom Hendrickson in number 17, Crosley, Charlie Pratt in the number 23 Porsche, which is in the pits at the moment. The number 1 car of Scott Taylor, the Porsche 914-6, is in 3rd. 12, the number 12 car, Dave Sotour and George Schwartz in the Porsche 935 is 4th. And the number 20 car of Bill Stevens and Chuck Clemens is 5th. That's the standings we have, 1 through 5. That's number 17, number 23, number 1, number 12, number 20.
Fatigue is setting in on the cars as well. Doug Blackburn is on his 2nd engine of the day.
Hey, here, let's put a couple of...
Under various owners, this Volkswagen has been racing at Portland for almost 15 years.
else these guys are putting in. I don't know. I think we blew an oil line because boy, I hit the straightaway. Wow! I see that. Yeah. That scared everybody.
Get on the other side of the fence, Doug.
Oh. Make sure it's neutral. Yeah, that's that seal.
Either that or you blew up. Case plug, one or the other.
That's what you can, eh?
It didn't start coming all of a sudden, man.
Yeah, well, that seal went.
Yeah, it's gone. Okay. You have to pull that crane down with the other one.
Well,
Oh, like 50 more. You're going to seal that.
left, get my cover.
They're over there.
Families often bring their children to enjoy the races, but sometimes the youngsters find other ways to entertain themselves.
Tom Busick used to drive. His car fell apart.
Really going to be a...
Now, it's dark now, and steady rain began falling an hour ago. In the scoring tower, St. Lawrence and race announcer Dane Pitterese watch drivers struggle to maintain control.
You know, as well as I do, that coming in off the back straightaway, when you come into the circus turns, we've got the overhead lights lighting the track up, and it glares in the windshield. Naturally, the lights on the track itself blind everyone. The number 10 white dots of Mike Cole has spun in turn 9. He's been trying to do that all day long, and it looks like he finally completed it.
That's trouble.
Bob Plotz is still smiling. The day has been event-free. That is, no major problems.
We tend to be a little poor.
Does the satisfaction of club participation offset the pressures and frustrations of bulky machinery, inclement weather, and sheer exhaustion?
You know, it's a very close-knit group. It's ironic. You'll see guys loaning people cars or parts or tools so they can go out and run against one another, you know, and I don't think you find this in many other types of sports. You know, I've loaned my car from 2 guys, or I've had guys loan me parts and stuff like that. It's so I can go out and run against them, you know, and try to beat them. It's rather unique in that respect. I think that we do have probably one of the greatest bunches of people. I mean, we can walk away from the pits here and leave our vans wide open, leave our tow cars wide open, and have, you know, several $1,000s worth of tools in the back of it, and never even think twice about locking it up. And we come back and it's there. You don't do that in many groups. We think nothing about it. We just walk off and leave it wide open. We're always in a hurry, it seems like. And you just don't find that in many groups of people. And it's always been that way. It's always been that way.
Right, yes, we...
Jim Norris continues that thought.
We have a nice little Datsun 200 SX, and we love to rally with it. And we like being with a group of people that all share the same interest. That's what a club is. And we get a great deal of satisfaction out of going to meetings and parties and rallies and races with these people and enjoying the same sport with them.
In this program, we've talked about machines and groups of people and how they relate. Each element, each group of people contributes a necessary skill and energy which makes the race more than the sum of its parts. These energies both culminate in and stem from the actual driving experience.
You ready to go? Yeah, let me get one more thing here.
You want that cord out from under?
Yeah. There we go. Good. Wow.
Want to be moving then?
Sure, anytime you're ready. About that.
1982, 6 hours of the Cascades brought together drivers and teams from Oregon, Washington, California, and British Columbia and Alberta, Canada. The winning car, a Crossley sports racer driven by Tom Hendrickson, Dennis Kruger, and Dennis Hickey of Portland, covered 243 laps, 465 miles, much of it in the rain. Their average speed, 77.5 miles per hour, in spite of a delay from a broken shift linkage. The second place car was a Mazda RX-3 Coupe from British Columbia, entered by Barry Allen and Mark Griffiths. And a Canadian car also took third place, Delph Sarcher and George Schwartz in their Porsche.
I don't have it.
Debbie, you want to match?
The more awards from Gannon's Automotive.
At 7 o'clock, the checkered flag fell, marking the end of the contest. Much of the race was dominated by the white number 23 Porsche driven by David Schroeder and Charlie Pratt. But moments from the finish, the car's ignition failed, and it rolled to a stop at turn 5, just 1 mile from certain victory.
It could really be a wire hanger as close as these cars finished tonight.
Well, I think that they got so pumped up and excited about getting their tires changed, and they ran an almost flawless race, and they just forgot to put a splash of fuel in during that last pit stop. But
You get one this time.
Okay, officially, Tom Hendrickson, Dennis Kruger, and Dennis Hickey. Car number 17. Number 1.
Don't shake them up wasted now.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, second place, car number 15. Third place, car number 12.
And tell them all their awards will be given. We're going to move them under the awning.
And
For a while.
Dennis?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It's been a fun race.
Is that on?
Yeah.
Endurance racing is cooperative racing. Perhaps a paradoxical choice of words. Here, perspective brings understanding, for what is important here is not just accomplishment. What does one accomplish by going very fast simply to end up at one starting point, and doing that repeatedly? What is important here is the process, the going, the doing, the playing of that powerful music, the graceful maneuvering, the challenge of maintaining that balance under stress. Machines and people, competition and cooperation, opposites again. In racing, as in life, there are always two sides. And to really win, one must balance both of them. California, and British Columbia and Alberta, Canada. The winning car, a Crossley sports racer driven by Tom Hendrickson, Dennis Kruger, and Dennis Hickey of Portland, covered 243 laps, 465 miles, much of it in the rain. Their average speed, 77.5 miles per hour, in spite of a delay from a broken shift linkage. The second place car was a Mazda RX-3 Coupe from British Columbia, entered by Barry Allen and Mark Griffiths. And a Canadian car also took third place, Delph Sarcher and George Schwartz in their Porsche.
I don't have it.
Debbie, you want to match?
The mark from Gannon's Automotive.
At 7 o'clock, the checkered flag fell, marking the end of the contest. Much of the race was dominated by the white number 23 Porsche driven by David Schroeder and Charlie Pratt. But moments from the finish, the car's ignition failed, and it rolled to a stop at turn 5, just 1 mile from certain victory.
It could really be a wire hanger as close as these cars finished tonight.
Well, I think that they got so pumped up and excited about getting their tires changed, and they ran an almost flawless race, and they just forgot to put a splash of fuel in during that last pit stop. But
You get one this time.
Okay, officially, Tom Hendrickson, Dennis Kruger, and Dennis Hickey. Car number 17. Number 1.
Don't shake them up wasted.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, second place, car number 15. Third place, car number 12.
And tell them all their awards will be given. We're going to move them under the awning.
And Dennis?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
It's been a fun race.
Is that on?
Yeah.
Endurance racing is cooperative racing. Perhaps a paradoxical choice of words. Here, perspective brings understanding, for what is important here is not just accomplishment. What does one accomplish by going very fast simply to end up at one's starting point, and doing that repeatedly? What is important here is the process, the going, the doing, the playing of that powerful music, the graceful maneuvering, the challenge of maintaining that balance under stress. Machines and people, competition and cooperation, opposites again. In racing, as in life, there are always two sides. And to really win, one must balance both of them.